Yes, we are. Hi. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. If you don't know me, my name is Connie from Connie's Couture Nails. I am a Light Elegance UK brand ambassador and educator for Stirling in Scotland. Hi guys, thanks for joining me. I've been in the industry for about 8 years now, and I've been using Light Elegance exclusively for 6 or 7 of those. If you've used the products, you'll know that they speak for themselves, but once I discovered them, there was no looking back. They're just amazing, and I love that they're hypoallergenic, and I know that myself and my clients are in safe hands using safe products. So, and obviously the creativity options with them are endless. If you saw Jojo's live at 4 p.m. there, it was brilliant on the new sheer Jimmy Gels, doing tortoiseshell techniques. And we also had some great lives yesterday from the rest of the LE UK Educator and BA team, so make sure and check them out. They're all saved on the Light Elegance UK Instagram page. Today I'm going to be showing you some autumn nail art, so if you bear with me 2 wee seconds, I'll flip you around and we can get started. Let me just zoom in a wee bit. You can let me know if the lighting and everything is okay. So these are, hopefully you can all see that okay, the designs that, get everything else out of the frame, there we go, hopefully it will focus now. Hi everyone. Yeah, so I've got some very cute autumn nail designs. I don't know about you guys, but my clients, as soon as it hits September, everyone goes crazy for the autumn designs, and these, they're Halloweeny but not too Halloweeny, so they're September appropriate as well. So you can see here, these are much the same, but in this one I've used super shiny, and in this one we have a matte top coat, just so you can see the difference. I do sometimes think that nail art, it looks a bit more kind of like cartoony with a matte top coat, but my personal favourite is the shiny. I just think you can't beat it. And then we also have this wee one here, which is just a wee ghost on its own with some florals, which you can't go wrong this time of year. And for the fringes, just to break it up a bit, this one I've used Provocative, and this one is Drizzle. So I'm going to be using colours from the new Dare to Indulge collection. If you haven't given it a go yet, you can see all them in action, and be sure to make the most of the discount for this online trade show, which is Pro 20. So it is valid until midnight tonight. So if you see anything you like, or if you haven't placed your order yet, make sure to make the most of that. If you're catching up on this live as well, on the Light Elegance UK page, or my own page, you can use my code Connie, which will get you 5% off site-wide all year round. So I've got my blink tips all prepped. I have used Diamond Dust Jimmy Gel for these. You can use whichever one you prefer or your client prefers, but this one's just got a really soft iridescent shimmer, and it's just lovely, and it just adds to the kind of cutesy effect that we're going for. So we will get started. If you've got any questions, feel free to pop them in. I'll try my best to keep up in the comments. If there's anything you want to ask, you can let me know. So to start off, I am taking just white. And I'm also going to take my number 3 stylus. So I should have said as well, I'm going to be using all 3 of the styluses for this wee design, and also a fine liner brush. That's all you need. So I'm taking my number 3 and just going in with a little bit of white. And then you just want to start your wee ghost. I mean, you can do it anywhere. I've just been doing them in the middle. So I did this design on a client of mine last week, and she loved it. It was one of my wee mystery sets that I offer if someone wants a wee surprise with their nail art and allows me to go crazy. So for that one we used slightly different colours, but I mean you can use any colours that you like, but the ones from Dear Tendage work really well because they're all just so autumnal and very cute. So I'm just kind of being quite rough with this. You don't need to be too precious at this point, just sketching out your rough shape of your ghost. You could go in with a brush at this point, but I think it's quicker and easier just to keep using the stylus. So I've got that there, and then because this ghost is slightly smaller, I'm just going to switch to the number 2 and just taking a tiny bit more product, and I'm just going to drag it down just to make those little, the wee kind of scalloped edge for the bottom of the ghost. Just like that. So we'll pop that into cure, and while that one's going, we'll do a slightly bigger ghost on this one. So again, I've just taken the number 3 and I've loaded that up with quite a bit of product, and again we're just going to sketch out that rough shape. Lighting's all good, Jojo, brilliant, so cute. Oh, thank you. And Studio 15 says cute as well. Thank you so much. This is my favourite time of year for the weather and for the nail art as well. I just love it. It tends to be into October before people go crazy for the proper Halloween nails, but I always have one or two that like to start a bit early, which is always fun. So just exact same as before, roughly sketching out that ghost shape. It doesn't have to be too perfect because we're going to be adding all the details anyway. And then sticking with the bigger stylus for the scalloped edge because we've got a bigger surface here. Just going to drag some of that product down. And there we go. I'm quite happy with that. So we'll pop that in as well. And the first wee ghost that we did is all ready. So I'm just going to wipe these off before I get myself covered in gel. So I'm just taking my LE Pro wipe and a wee bit of cleanser just to clean these up. And I'm now going to take my number 1, which is just the point, to be super precise. And I've just opened up my primary black gel paint. Just taking a tiny amount. And we'll pop on some wee eyes. Just like that. There we go. That's why I love this wee stylus, because you can be so precise and get the tiniest wee dots. It's really great for doing any sort of detailed nail art like this. And then again, I'm just going to use that same number 1 stylus, just with a bit more product this time, and just the same again here. So if you wanted to, you could put a wee dot for a mouth on these as well, but I find sometimes they look cute just with the eyes. So we'll leave them like that and pop them into cure. So everything's curing in the LE dot for 60 seconds. So again, just wiping them off. And the next colour I'm going to be going in with for our little pumpkins is Farm Fresh. So you can see here, again you could use any orange you've got, like the neon orange would work really well, the gel paint, or like a more burnt orange, but Farm Fresh, I'd say that's your proper pumpkin orange. So I'll grab that out the lamp, and again you can just place this wherever you fancy. So I'm taking number 3 again, I'm just taking a small amount of product, and this one will place it down the bottom. So when I'm doing a little pumpkin like this, I like to do 2 kind of circles that overlap, and it gives you that nice pumpkin shape. So we've got my first one there, just taking a little bit more. And don't worry if your product is slightly raised above the nail, because we're going to be encapsulating this in Skinny Jimmy anyway. So you can see it's kind of like an 8 shape. I'm quite happy with that, so we will pop that in. And I'm going to wait for this one because we're going to be doing our florals, which we'll also be doing in our other design, just to keep it all simple. So if you're just joining us, welcome. These are the designs that we're going to be doing today. Some really cute autumn nail art. Remember, this is for the online trade show, so you can save 20% until midnight tonight with the code PRO20 if you haven't already. There we go. So our pumpkin is all cured. So for the detail, I'm going to go in with drizzle, and I'm going to take my fine liner brush for that. So just taking, you can see I like to use my buttercreams in the thicker consistency, so my pots always look a bit like that. But just taking a really small amount of product. And then we're just going to outline just really roughly. I actually find it looks better if you don't outline it all the way. So I'm just taking a tiny bit more of drizzle there. Just outlining the top. And then I'm just going to drag those lines down a bit just to give the pumpkin a bit of shape. And then the same at the other side. Just like that. I'll maybe add a tiny bit more here, and then just a little bit at the bottom. And then a tiny bit more product, and you can just add a wee stem. Like that. There we go. So I'll pop that in. And we can get started on our florals. So for these ones here, I used Sweetness and Provocative from the new collection. So I think we'll maybe use these as well, but we'll maybe have a play about with some of the other ones. So Heavenly, it's a really gorgeous kind of creamy colour. We'll give that a go. I lost my wee ghost, but we've found it. So I'm going to start with my number 3. We'll start with the bigger florals. And taking a small amount of Heavenly. Move that out of the way. Hopefully you can all see that okay. And we'll start with some bigger florals just up the top here. In person, these colours really do stand out as being different next to the white and the nude base, but on camera they maybe are blending a little too much. Is it too bright? Hopefully that's a bit better if you can see. So the buttercreams are really great for doing any sort of nail art, because you can see once I'm putting that on the nail, it's not moving anywhere. And then I'm just going to switch to my number 1. That was number 2. Number 1 here. And we'll just do a couple of tiny ones. Like that. Pop them in. And then just the same again here. So because this one is obviously much smaller, I'm going to stick with the number 1 for my details, because I don't want to make the flowers too big. Just having a quick look at the comments. Jojo says, I love Heavenly. Heavenly it is gorgeous. Really nice for bridal as well. The beauty box says the wee ghost is so cute. Thank you so much. Like I said, as soon as it hits September, I'm always dying to get some wee cute Halloween ghosties and pumpkins on the go. There we go, and then I'll just pop a wee tiny one down here as well. Just like that. And then the next colour we will use Sweetness, which is a really lovely creamy pink. Again, it's really, really pigmented, so it's great for these florals. So you can just pop the wee florals wherever you fancy. You don't need to be too precious, because again we're going to add some leaf details and things, and I quite like it if you overlap with your wee ghost. There we go, so you can see those colours, they look so cute, they work really well together. They would all year round, but yeah, especially for the autumn time, they're really pretty. And we'll add some pink to this one as well. Oh, sorry, I was a wee bit off centre there. Hopefully you can all see okay. Autumn Lane says love it. Thank you so much. So there we go, a wee pink flower up there as well. And back to this wee guy, or wee gal, whatever you want to call them. I'm just cleaning off my stylus again. And we're going to go in with Provocative, which is a really lovely red maroon. So I've used this has been really popular already. You can see I'm about halfway through it already. It's a really lovely standalone colour. It's also great for Halloween nails, for the kind of blood drips if any of your clients want them, or it's really cute for florals, for anything really. It's a great all-rounder. I think Jojo actually used it for her tortoise shell as well, which worked really well. So there we go, and then pairing the light colours and the dark colours, it just gives a nice wee bit of contrast as well. Light Elegance SA says they're adorable. Thank you. There we go, and I think I'll maybe pop one more red just down here. Just a tiny baby one. There we go. And then back to this one, just doing the same. Just anywhere you fancy. You could add some more pumpkins as well if you prefer the more autumnal look as opposed to the florals, but I just think these are so cute. Florals are my favourite all year round. And we'll add one more just here as well. There we go, and don't worry about any kind of sparse areas, because we're going to be filling that in with some leaves and some little dots as well. So we get something like this. Perfect. So for the centre, I'm going to be going in with gold metallic, which again is just an all year round favourite. Very well loved. Just taking a really tiny amount of product on my number 1 again. And just popping that in the centre. So you could use any colour for this. You could use the silver or white, whatever you prefer. I just love the warm tones and the gold. So there we go. And the same here. So you can see how great this stylus is for getting those tiny little details. If you are doing a design like this on your clients as well, make sure you're charging for your time like this. I would class this as like a kind of advanced nail art, because it is going to be taking you quite a while and it's very detailed. So definitely make sure you're charging your worth if you're doing a design like this. Lovely. So for our leaves, on this one I actually used Green with Envy from last year's autumn collection, but we're going to use Luxurious, which is from this year's. So it's more of a kind of tealy green, but again it's going to work really well because it's got that depth. And then I like to add a bit of a lighter colour through my leaves as well, just to again give it a bit more depth and dimension. So you could use just white, but for this one I'm going to use Emotionally Drained, which is going to pair really well with Luxurious because it's got that kind of greeny tealy tone again. So taking your fine liner brush and just again a really small amount of product just on the very edge of the brush there. Move everything else out the way. And you can just add some leaves wherever you fancy. Start here. So I like to move these to this side so I'm not stretching over the camera every 2 seconds. You know what it's like if you're doing nail art, it very quickly becomes very messy. But that's the fun of it. So yeah, I like to do a wee outline and then, is that picking up okay? And then just filling in the centre. And that allows you to get a nice wee point at the end as well. And don't worry if there's a little gap, because like I said, we're going to be going in with a lighter shade to add some detail as well. So there we go, and you can add as many of these as you like. So I think I'll go in a couple more. I like to kind of balance it out, so if I've got quite a lot happening at this side, I also like to do this side as well. That's just the perfectionist in me, but we're all the same. Lovely, and I think I'll just add another wee one at the top here. There we go. So pop that in. And same again here. hopefully that's focusing all right. So this colour, I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but it's bringing out this like kind of bluey iridescent shimmer to the Diamond Dust Jimmy Gel, which is really pretty. So again, don't worry if there's a couple of areas that are looking a wee bit bare, because we're going to fill them in with some other wee details at the end. And we'll do one just next to a wee pumpkin as well. There we go. Perfect. So now we're just going to add a wee bit of detail to our leaves. So I'm using Emotionally Drained and just picking up again just the tiniest amount. You can see how fine that liner brush is, these details. And then I like to run it through just any side of your leaf. So I don't know if you can see that okay. And it just makes it look a bit more realistic. Like it's a very cartoony nail art style anyway, but it just adds a bit more depth. And you'll know it's the wee details that make all the difference. If it's going to stop going in and out of focus. There we go. So I'm quite happy with that. We'll pop that in. And same with the other one. So this kind of style of nail art, it can be quite tricky, especially if your client has very small nail beds, but just take your time. And like I say, a really fine liner brush and your #1 stylus will be your best friend. But if your client does only want it on a couple of nails, you're probably better picking like the middle finger and the thumb just to give you a bit more surface area to work on. There we go. So we'll put that in again. So this one, I think we're pretty much done. I don't think I added any more to that one. So that was the one I did earlier with Sweetness and Provocative. And this is the one that we've done just now with Sweetness, Heavenly and Provocative. So that's all cured. So I'm going to go in with a layer of Skinny Jimmy just to encapsulate it all. You could just top coat it as is and just add a slightly thicker layer, but I like to encapsulate just to give you that wee security blanket, and then if you need to buff, you can. You don't need to worry about ruining your design. So just putting on a wee layer of that, making sure all the nails covered, and then I like to go in with not quite a dollop but just a slightly thicker amount of product and just run that down the centre, and that will self-level in no time. So I'm just going to flip that upside down. I'd do the same with a client as well, just flip their hand over, give that a couple of seconds to do its thing, and we should be good to go. So hopefully, yeah, you can see that's self-levelled lovely already. So we'll pop that in. And for this one, you don't have to, but I'm going to go back in with just white. You could use any colour that we've used. You could go back to your Farm Fresh and add some more orange if you wanted. Or you could go in with your gold or silver, but I think the white ties it in with the ghost quite nicely. Nailed by Victoria says, so cute, we'll save this as my signal is shocking. Oh, it happens to us all. Hopefully mine's is okay, and there's not been any problems with the live. But yeah, these will all be saved to the Light Elegance UK page, so you can catch up on mine or any other previous ones from the rest of the team whenever suits. So I'm just going to add a couple of wee dots just wherever I feel the areas are a wee bit sparse. So pop a couple here. And a couple just next to our wee pumpkin. There we go. So I'd say I'm quite happy with that. Autumn Lane says the dots make all the difference. They really do. They just kind of tie everything together. Like I say, it would be lovely without as well, but I like to fill it in so the whole of your design kind of looks like it's blooming from the centre. So we'll pop those in. And this wee one is all ready for our top coat, so I'm going to save them all and we'll top coat them together at the end. But that is our first wee ghosty done. There we go. Very cutesy, and like I say, that was the one that I did earlier, and this is the design that we just done with a matte top coat as well, if you'd like to see that. It just gives a totally different vibe. But I do love the shiny. You can't go wrong. Jojo says love it. Thank you so much. The Beauty Fox says glam spook. Yeah, definitely. Spooky glam. Or girly spooky glam, isn't it? Which is very much most of my clients' style. I do have one or two that like the scary Halloween though, and I love doing those designs as well. It's so much fun. So I'm going to go in with, oh no, we're not doing Super Cheney just yet. Skinny Jimmy, sorry. And we're going to encapsulate this one as well. Again, we could get away with not doing it, but especially our wee pumpkin, you can see it's just raised ever so slightly. So again, especially if you're doing this on a client, you want to make sure it's nice and smooth. So just taking a small amount of product to do just a thin layer all over the nail. And then I'm just going to go back in, take a bit more product, and just run that down the centre. And that will do its thing. And self-level lovely, I'm just going to flip that upside down. Cheryl says cute Halloween nails. Thank you so much, Cheryl. I just love this time of year. Halloween nails are so fun. So that's almost done. I'm just going to add a tiny bit more just so you can see where it dips a little. If you use your line of light, it will tell you exactly where to put your product. So just running that right down the centre. Give that a wee second and hopefully it'll do its thing. Skinny Jimmy is great because it self-levels really nicely but also quite quickly as well. You'll know the normal Jimmy gel does, but this just saves you a bit more time, and we'll give that a wee flip. There we go, and I'd say I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll pop that in for 60 seconds. And we'll start on one of our plain tips. So we've got about 10 minutes left, so we'll go in with a wee French design just to break it up. You could absolutely do a design like this on all of the nails, but I think the French, it just kind of breaks it up a wee bit. It's nice to have some empty space going on when you've got so much going on the other nails. Autumn Lane says Skinny Jimmy is the best. It is the best. I use it so much. It's just great for a quick wee encapsulation for any of your nail art designs. So because we used Heavenly, Provocative and Sweetness on this one, I think we'll go in with Sweetness for our French, because these ones, like I said, I used Drizzle here and Provocative, so we'll change it up a wee bit. So I'm just going to wipe my liner brush off and just take a small amount of that product there. And you can make your French as deep or as thin as you like. I do prefer a skinnier French. So I started at the middle there and just dragging that product up the nail, but again, you don't have to be too precious, because you can always go in with your smiling brush and neaten it up. So just the same at the other side. Dragging that down, and you can see how pigmented Sweetness is. It's really great. Especially some of the most of the pastel colours tend to be 2 quarters, which isn't a problem at all, but this one is definitely a 1 coat coverage. It's really lovely. There we go. So a little Sweetness French, and I'm going to pop that in. And our little floral pumpkin ghost is all ready. So again, I'll put that on here and we can top coat them all together. But there are 2 wee ghost designs. And for this one, we will do, I think the only colour I haven't showed you is Temptation. I haven't showed you Drizzle, but we used that for the French in this design. So we'll do Temptation, because it's a really lovely deep purple. And again, just the nature of these designs, they'll go with anything. So again, just starting at the centre and dragging it up like that, and then the same at the other side. I always find these will all be the same, but doing this side of the French, I always find it so easy, and then I struggle a bit more with this side. But it's probably just because I'm right-handed. There we go. So you can see how lovely that purple is. And then just filling in the space. So French, you could spend ages going over and over and trying to tidy up your lines, but sometimes you're better quitting while you're ahead, so I'm going to pop that in as well. Wiping off my brush. And our Frenchies, they don't need to be, if you wanted to be really precious, you could encapsulate them with your Skinny Jimmy again, but they don't need it. And if you do find you've got that little dip just where the colour meets the base, just look at this wee area, you can just add a tiny wee dollop of super shiny and it will even that all out. Where is my super shiny? There we go. So we'll get started top coating our wee ghosts. There we go. And these are all going in for 60 seconds. So we'll use Super Shiny for this one. But if you're just joining us, I did use a matte top coat before, so I'll show you what that looks like in just a wee second. There we go. And this was our Sweetness French. So that was the little divot that I was talking about. So if you just take just a slightly, not a dollop, just a wee amount of Super Shiny and just pop it here and kind of drag it up and back down, it should just self-level. So you can see that's totally taken away the wee divot that we had. So we'll pop that in. And this was Temptation, yeah, Temptation, our purple. Autumn Lane asked, can we use Skinny Jimmy like One Step encapsulate without top coating? I don't believe so. Hopefully Jojo or Layla is in the comments somewhere and they can answer for you, but I don't believe we can. I do think the Jimmy gels need a top coat. I think One Step is the only product that doesn't. So yeah, I would always top coat. And I just love using Super Shiny because you know that there's going to be zero staining. Your clients are going to come back to you and their nails are going to be just as they were when they left. So I'd always say get them with Super Shiny. But absolutely, if you've run out or whatever, you can use One Step. And it will do the job. Sorry, I'm just flipping that upside down a little. I did just add a wee tiny dollop to where the French made the base colour, and I was just letting that do its thing. So there we go, our first three are all ready, so we'll pop these on. Yeah, Jojo says no, it doesn't have the high shine, so it has to be top coated, yeah. But absolutely, you could use One Step for the same thing. Can we use a thin coat of One Step instead of Skinny Jimmy in order to save time if normal Jimmy like Diamond Dust is underneath? I believe so. Because your client already has a structure from the Jimmy gel, as much as it is a builder gel, it's designed to work with buttercreams and Super Shiny, so you can mix and match with your hard gels as well. As long as you have Jimmy gel as a base or the Lexi line as a base, there shouldn't be a problem with doing that. The only way you couldn't do that is if it was P+. And Joe just said you could, but it does have a slight yellow tint, so applying over light colours you might see that, yeah. So especially on your base colours, like Diamond Dust, and if you're doing white, like for your French or like our wee ghost that we've done here, Super Shiny is the one to use. Here we go, so I'm going to swap these over just because my OCD likes it to be one then one instead of the two nail art together and the two French together, and we'll get rid of this one because I'm not going to have time to do another one there. But yeah, so that's our redesign that we did today. And again, if you are joining late and missed it at the start, This is the one I did earlier with the matte top coat, sorry. So I'll put them all together so you can see them. So just quickly, Jojo said, this is why we prefer Skinny Jimmy, because it is super crystal clear. It doesn't change any of the colours underneath. Absolutely. That's why I love it for doing a quick encapsulation. I do find it self-levels slightly quicker than One Step as well. One Step did used to be my go-to, and I still do use it from time to time for encapsulation, but yeah, this is your one for encapsulating your nail art designs. And then top coating with super shiny, or your flat matte, depending on what you prefer. Alan says, lovely. Thank you so much, Alan. Love a supportive husband in the comments. So yeah, thank you all for joining me. Thank you for your time. Remember, you can use the code PRO20 until midnight tonight to get 20% off your Light Elegance order. Jojo's just said, yes it does, it's so quick at self-leveling, it really is the best. Autumn Lane says, thank you so much for this cute tutorial. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you do try and recreate any designs, please tag me and tag Light Elegance. Beauty Box Keith says, brilliant tutorial. Thank you so much, you've all been so kind and supportive, which is lovely. So yeah, all the lives will be saved on the Light Elegance Instagram if you need to catch up on any from yesterday. But thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!